Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Black Hills AI webinar, Otto IP, Commonly Used Guided Skills, Part 2. A recording of the episode and the slides will be made available on the Black Hills AI YouTube channel as well as our website. Feel free to enter any questions using the Q&A feature in the Zoom menu. We invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and to visit our website to learn about our other webinars. And with that, I will turn things over to Tom.
All right, hi, Tom Marlowe here, Chief AI Officer with Black Hills AI. Welcome everybody to another one of our guided skills webinars. Just for background, I want to reintroduce our Otto IP team. All of the smiling faces that you see on the screen here, always here to help and continually working to improve our products for you guys. All right, quick background. Black Hills AI. We've been in the IP business for over 14 years now, working on a lot of things, a lot of automation, back-end automation, docketing, quality control, verification, automated review, reporting, IDS, patent renewals, and more that's not on this list. What we're talking about today are some of our newer practitioner-facing tools, including Otto AI, and particularly guided skills. Last week's guided skill webinar was on inventor interview preparation. So today's is going to follow from that one by taking that information into the drafting process. So if you were with us last week, we gathered invention disclosures. We did an analysis and preparation for an inventor interview meeting, got transcripts from that meeting, and used that data to drive some of that initial communication and process. Today, we're going to take that same data and move it forward in the process for drafting. So what we're going to look at specifically today are a number of pieces of our guided skills, where we're going to look at pulling together a title, a technical field, summary of the invention, background, some claims, some illustrations, figures, and even get a little bit into the description. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into things. The first part we're going to take a look at here is the guided skills around title, field, and summary of the invention generation. Okay, so what we can see is we've got our guided skills that we're going to launch, and we're going to start with patent title. This is a pretty simple one. maybe skills to help generate a title may or may not be needed if you already have one, but we can take a look at what the tool can do to support the process. What I'm doing here is I'm taking what we had from, like I mentioned, from the previous webinar. Here's an invention disclosure. Here's a sample transcript of an interview with an inventor. Those are documents that are already loaded into this Otto IP session. I'm going to pull those into this guided skill and launch the guided skill itself. Okay, so this is the language from the skill. One thing that you'll notice, and we'll see this in some of the skills that we're going to launch going forward, is there might be documents that the skill is specifically asking for. So if you look at this one, it references a claim set and supporting documents. We don't have a claim set as part of our documents. The beauty with working with these AI tools that we have is that they'll figure out that it's not there and work around it. And you're going to continue to get quality responses, regardless of whether you have exactly what's asked for in the prompt or not. Okay, so let's see what we get. The analysis is going to come through here. and we're going to get a few title options. So here's option one. I guess it's a recommended one. We get a second option that's a little bit shorter, a third option, and we can see why it's choosing to give us these options. It's giving us pros and cons of each one. So you can take a look and make a decision which one you want to go with, and then a recommendation. You know, if you were going to do all this work by hand to come up with a title, might be considered overkill. But when you let the computer do it with these AI tools, that took, maybe a few seconds, and I can quickly choose one of these titles that I want to use. So in this case, I like this short one. I'm going to grab that title. That's the one I want to use going forward. Now within Otto IP here, we have the ability to create our own documents. I'm going to drop that title in here. That's where some of these pieces of content that we're going to create are going to live for us. And the beauty is that that allows us to bring it in as context for future skills or prompts that I might want to use. Okay, so this is saved. I've now got a document here in my workspace called Patent App. Let's move on to the next skill. That's the title. Pretty straightforward. Next is the technical field generation. This is a 2 to 3 sentence a section of a patent application, and let's just get some suggestions on the drafting of that field. So you can see I pulled in the title, that document that I just created, and I'm pulling in again, the interview transcript and the invention disclosure. I launched the guided skill prompt, and it's gonna churn away and give me some options for the technical field. We've got a broad approach, we've got a medium approach, we've got a narrow approach, some useful versions of the technical field statement, then the AI's recommendation with its justification, which is nice, and what it used for formatting compliance as well. So you get a little bit of background on that. One thing that's useful here that I liked is that based on the field that it provides, it gives this USPTO classification alignment that you'll see there. And that's nice if you are trying to work your application, say, into a specific art unit or specific classification for technology. So I'm going to grab this one. I liked option 2. I think it was the recommended one. And we're going to go ahead back to my document and drop that in. So I have it now available for future reference. All right, technical field complete. Let's go to the summary now. So I'm going to go back to the guided skills. I want to create a summary. Here's the patent summary generation guided skill. And I'm going to attach my document that I've been working with. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the transcript and the invention disclosure once again. So I've got these 3 files. Okay, we can see what the prompt for this guided skill is. Let's run it and get a nice summary of the invention. Now, depending on what your drafting practice is, maybe you're going to use this in the application. Maybe you like to kind of build this type of thing, like a best mode, more as an integrated part of the rest of the description. That's fine. I like to have a summary of the invention written, whether or not I use it verbatim, so that I can use this as part of future prompts. So at any point I can give the future guided skills this summary, and they can use that to drive some of what they're doing. So, okay, I take a look at this. This summary of the invention looks good. Now here, rather than copying it into the document that I'm created, I've got this simple ability to just click the save button because I'm not choosing from multiple options. And I'm just going to save this document outright as a new document. You'll see right here, summary of the invention. So now that's available if I want to use it in the future. Also, if there's any of the language here that I wanted to adjust, edit, or didn't like, I can always ask the tool to adjust it, or now I can just jump right into that document and edit it myself. Okay, so now that we've got the title, we've got our field, and we've got our summary, let's get a background section put together. So for the background section, we're going to go ahead again, launch a new guided skill. Background of the invention generation. Launch this guy. And for this, I'm going to give it my title and technical field. I don't think we need the summary as context for this, so I'm skipping it. If you added that, no big deal. But we're adding the transcript and the invention disclosure because usually those will talk about what the prior art might be, what competitors are doing, that type of thing. Again, you'll notice that the prompt references a claim set. We don't have that yet. If you wanted to start out with a claim set, that would work, and then you could attach it, but I don't think it impacts too much. And like I said, the AI can work around it. Okay, so now the tool is churning away at what is looking like a very descriptive background section. This is great data, a lot of interesting text here. This is probably more than I'm going to write in a patent application, but this is useful. This is useful for understanding what the prior art is for shaping claims and that type of thing going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, even though I may not use it as it's written. And I'm going to call this my detailed background. Now, since I want something, we'll say a little bit more concise for what I'm going to put into this application that I'm drafting, I'm going to follow up and say, please compress this background section to, let's say, 3 to 4 paragraphs, and let the AI give me a cut at reducing its length. So it's doing that. Okay, this looks a lot more manageable. Maybe there's things that I might want to edit here, but let's roll with this for now. So I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to call this my background section. This is going to be, close to what I'm going to use in the application draft itself. So you can see now we've got the detailed background and the background documents created in my AI docs section, along with the summary and the other details for the patent application. Okay, so from here, we've got a very important piece of any patent application, as we all know. We've got our claims. So let's take a look at using these skills to get some claim drafting moving. So here again, very similar process. We're going to launch a guided skill. Patent claim generation is the one I'm going to use. Let's launch it. And I'm going to go ahead and we can take a look at this skill. It has multiple different prompts that we can use if I want to make some method claims, system claims, article claims, a full claim set. We've got options. First thing though, I'm going to get our documents for context. I'm going to throw the detailed background in there because I want as much detail for identifying the prior art as possible. The summary that I've generated, the title and field, let's throw those in there along with the transcript of the interview and the invention disclosure initially. So I'm going to use, I think, a system claims to begin with. And I'm going to use this skill. We're going to have 1 to 3 independent claims is what I'm going to ask for with dependents. And to use all this data that I've provided as context for putting together a first cut on claims. Okay, so I skipped the thinking a bit in this video. We can take a look at what the response is. So we get a bit of an executive summary, and then we have independent claim one. And it's got a lot of pieces, but on first glance, it looks decent. And a number of dependent claims. And then we see the second independent claim, that's claim 16, and its dependent claims. And our third independent claim, claim 23. And again, these are used as a starting point, I guess, is how you want to think about it. Take a look at what's provided. Take a look at the notes and the strategy that the AI is providing you behind it, and then you can adjust from here. So a simple adjustment might be, hey, I just want 20 claims. Let's knock it down to just those 20 because I want to work from there. So boom, the tool goes after it. It identifies which ones it wants to keep. I'm going to have, I think, 2 independent claims in this 20 claim set. If I want to tell it, hey, give me 3 plus their dependents, I could do that from here, but I'm gonna run with what it's providing me. So claims 1 through 12 from 1, claims 13 to 20 from 13. And we can see why it chose them, what it's trying to cover. And that gives you an idea of, are these the way that I want to drive my claim strategy? Is there anything that I want to add? Is there anything I want to make sure to keep out? I'm going to go ahead and save this particular response. I could have gone back and forth with the tool for a little bit, but for the purpose of time on this webinar, let's save this response. We'll drop it into our our AI docs as claims with a number of notes. And frankly, those notes are useful because they might help drive some of the description drafting, some of the figures that we're going to figure out in just a minute here. But the other thing I can do once I've dropped this into notes, if I want to do any of my editing by hand and add my practitioner expertise, I can do that right in line. And so that any adjustments to those claims then get propagated as that document gets attached in context for future prompts and skills that I'm going to use. Okay, figures are next. So we've got our claims, we've got our background, we've got our summary and title and field. Let's get to what figures do I want to include within this patent application. So we're going to launch a guided skill. What we're going to start here with is the illustration list generation. So all I want the tool to do for me here is give me a list of the figures that it thinks I should use within this patent application, given this background. So again, the transcript, the invention disclosure, the claims, obviously we want those supported by the figures. We'll put the summary in there. We'll put the title and field information. So now I've got these 6 context files. That seems like it should give the tool enough to give a comprehensive list of patent illustrations that it thinks should be in this application. So it's going to go to work now and give me a list. I'm flying through this because this is a admittedly very long list. We're already past 15 figures. I know this is a lot of data that I'm scrolling through pretty quickly here, but it's just because it's long. We're into the 20s for figures, a lot of detail. It's basically giving me a very comprehensive view and a figure for each of the potential elements that are discussed within this invention disclosure. along with alternative embodiments, which is great. I like all this detail. It's very interesting. It's depending on the scope of the patent application that I'm drafting, though, this might be a bit much. I don't have the budget necessarily, we'll say, on this case, to draft an application with, I think I've got 50 figures here. So I'm going to limit things. I'm going to say, hey, please reduce to the 10 most critical figures. And let's say I liked figure 4. I'm just using this as an example so I can show you how you can interact with this tool. Ensure to include figure 4. And so now it's going to say, okay, I want to reduce this comprehensive illustration set down to 10, and I'm going to include figure 4. And now it's going to say, here's the 10 that I'm going to include and why. And I love that it gives that explanation of why each of these are included so that it's not just kind of a black box. Hey, here's what you get. So I've got my reduced set of figures included with strategically what's being covered in each one, lists of elements, how it applies from an enablement and prosecution strategy, great information. If I were doing this in practice, I'd probably adjust things up and down a little bit from here, but for the purposes of this webinar, let's call this my list of figures. We can keep moving forward. Okay, so now that's saved. I've got this list of figures with a lot of background and explanation along with it saved into my AI docs. So now let's use this tool that we have within Otto AI to actually generate a figure. So I'm opening up the generation guided skill. I'm adding my list of figures. I'm going to add my claims as context, the summary of the invention as well, and of course the transcript and the invention disclosure. So I've got these 5 files as my context, and I'm going to use this prompt, and I'm going to ask it to give me an editable image in SVG format that I can use. And I'm adding to this prompt, begin with figure 1, so that we just get one figure here to be considerate of everybody's time. We can see how this works with one figure. Okay, so what it did is it created this figure. This detail, this kind of code looking data is the SVG file itself. It's editable. You could drop that into an editor and adjust, change numbering, etc. We get a list of the key features. We get a list of the elements. And here's a preview of what that figure looks like. It came up with a face with these glasses. And one thing that you'll note is from a numbering perspective, each of the elements is provided, and we'll see those show up properly numbered within this diagram. And this might not be perfect to use as is. Maybe you want to adjust things from here, but this gives you the ability, because it's provided as an SVG, an image as code, you can drop this into an editor and adjust things, move things as you need. But in seconds, we've created an initial figure that could be used within this application. Okay, so then the last piece we're going to touch on here is the description. So obviously there's a lot of text that goes in here. We're not going to build out the entire description, but what we'll do is, I should mention I'm going to go ahead and save this figure so we have this available. The figure, along with these details about the figure, are going to be useful as we go to this next step. So we don't have a specific guided skill for working on the description as of yet. So we'll use conversational here, but I can show you what this will look like, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to pull in figure 1. That's probably the most important piece for context for this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull in the detailed background so we know what the prior art is, the claims, the summary, the list of the figures. And I'm going to ask the tool here to write a description of figure 1. So I'm referencing that document that we just created, including indicators to the numbering for the patent application, detailed description, and I'm going to tell it to give me 3 paragraphs. So basically what I'm doing here, we've created figure 1, give me 3 paragraphs around figure 1 that I can use. And we can see what's being brought in for context right here. So the tool's going to work on that. And here's our detailed description for figure 1, referring to figure 1. And then it goes on, it identifies and puts numbering along with the description for each piece. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, this looks good. I could go back and forth again with the tool if I wanted to, but I'm going to save this for now. This is my description for figure 1. And then from here, I could iterate. So if I would have created my 10 figures, now I can go through and create my 10 sections for describing each one of those figures. And, maybe that takes a little bit of time, but it's pretty quick if you saw how fast the tool worked just here. And now I've built out most of what's needed for a patent application draft. Now, of course, this gets you the initial steps. From here, like I said, you're going to walk through the figures, build out that description. The tool has already suggested alternative embodiments, so we can ask it to write some paragraphs on alternative embodiments. We can take a look through and talk about additional claim strategy if there's anything else that we want to add to this app, maybe in preparation for continuations. We can build an abstract and then have the tool compile all this into one document. And of course, the most important part is the final attorney review, and of course, the attorney review as you're going through the process to make sure that everything that is written is accurate to the way you would want it being described for the invention that you're trying to protect. But in a nutshell, in 28 minutes, we've walked through now building out a good portion of a patent application so you can see what kind of efficiency and time savings can be had by using some of these guided skills in your drafting process. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the demonstration. I'm going to open up the floor now for any questions that might be out there.
So far, we do not have any questions. It looks like we've got somebody with a raised hand, and not sure how you want to address that, Tom.
Yeah, if there's questions, just drop them into the Q&A section. Or, of course, they don't have to be on the webinar here. We can always, we're always here if you want to reach out directly. If you've got a issue specific to your practice that you want to go over, we're happy to go over it.
So we do have a couple comments and a question in here. One comment was cool. Can we get a copy of the recording? The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the question is, how can I edit the AI files?
Okay. So two ways to do that. One, within the tool, by clicking on it, it'll open up an editor. They're all stored in docx format, so they're editable right there within the editor. The beauty there is any edits that you make stay with the document that exists within Otto IP. So if you want to use that as context for the next thing, it's available. In addition, if you're like, let's say you've finished what you needed with the AI tool, you can just click the download button, pull them down onto your machine, and edit them in Word like you would anything else because they're stored in docx. If you wanted to do that, you made some edits and realized, hey, I'd like to actually use this and interact with the tool some more, just upload it back in and add it into context, and you can proceed.
I think it is clear.
Yeah. I've had one other question that's come up, which is, do you have to do things in this order? And the answer there is no. That's why these guided skills are currently separated, or one of the reasons at least. So if I wanted to start by building my claim set first, which is the way a lot of attorneys like to kind of start their application process, I can start there, spend my time working through and honing in those claim sets, the claim set that I want, and then drive the rest of the skills from there. So a lot of flexibility in the way that you want to work that process. But as you've seen with this, the prompts and the way that the AI tool handles kind of the succession of the skills is very flexible.
Totally no questions.
All right. So I think that's going to cover us for today. Thanks, everybody, again for joining. Always fun doing these guided skills presentations for everyone. Look for our announcements on the next ones to come. And be looking forward to talking with all of you later on this. Have a good one.